Good evening. My name is Thurman Greco, and I have three wonderful guests on our show this evening, Let's Live with Thurman Greco. We are coming to you this evening from Woodstock Educational TV Channel 23, and we'll soon be coming to you from Let's Live with Thurman Greco on the YouTube channel. So I'm going to start off because I don't often have three guests, although I do usually 4 or 5 times a year. But what I'm going to do is start off by asking you to take turns introducing yourselves to us, because this is a big deal, because you guys are getting ready to start the Shakespeare Festival. And, you know, they don't grow on trees around here. This is a very special event. So who would like to introduce yourself first?
Shall we start?
Yeah, okay.
From stage left.
Go for it.
Camera right. My name is Hank Niemark. I'm a longtime resident of Woodstock. I've been here over 30 years. And I've done a lot of acting around here. And I'm very happy to be doing the Woodstock Bird on a Cliff Shakespeare Festival. That's what it is. We're doing Midsummer Night's Dream this year. And I'm co-directing with David Aston Reese, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight.
And what are you what is the show you're doing this year?
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Midsummer Night's Dream.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Ellie Michaels, and I am the artistic director of Bird on a Cliff that brings you the Woodstock Shakespeare Festival. And I'm pleased to announce this is our 27th year at the Como property, and we are looking forward to seeing you there.
I'm Bill Solly. I'm an actor with Bird on the Cliff. This will be my 6th production with them.
6th?
6th, yes.
A glutton for punishment.
Yes. I will be playing Puck this summer, which has been great because Midsummer Night's Dream was the first Shakespeare play I'd ever read, and even before I knew I wanted to be an actor, I said, if I was ever in a play, I'd want to play him. So now, here, all these many, many years later, I get to do it. Yes, it is.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, my 8-year-old self is like giddy right now.
Well, we've been trying to do this show for 3 years, and we were planning to do it 2 years ago, but when COVID hit, it was not going to be easy getting 14 people to rehearse in a room.
Right.
So we went and did 2 years of spoof plays about Shakespeare with 3 characters, which Bill was part of. And now, finally, we're doing this show.
How far in advance do you work? In other words, do you do next year's show this year? Are you working on next year's?
No.
Do this year's the show this year.
Right.
So this is it. And when do you open?
The last weekend in July. We play every weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sundays at 5:30 up at the Como property at the Bird on a Cliff Shakespeare outdoor, gorgeous, fantastic theater. And we were there every weekend until Labor Day weekend. So it's all of August, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you bring a chair and you bring a bottle of water or a sandwich.
A wine, cheese.
Wine, cheese, a little charcuterie, and sit down and enjoy.
Some people have come. They set up a table, a tent, baccarat. I mean, they really make it beautiful. And, you can also bring a bag of chips and some cheese, and nobody cares.
Exactly. There are some snacks available, right? You can buy
very
a candy
limited,
bar.
very limited. You can't buy,
You buy an Oliver Keaton
chips.
chocolate.
No, you can't. No.
You can't? Okay. Nepotism, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure.
How was this production? How did it come about?
This production, particularly?
No.
The Shakespeare Festival.
Yes. How did
Okay.
this happen?
Well, 28 years ago, when the Woodstock Playhouse was a band shell, we went there and built out from the band shell, I think about 30 feet, and we did outdoor Shakespeare there. Then it was time for us to move to the Como property the following year so we can be there and rehearse and not get in anybody's way. So that's when we built the stage, and it was supposed to come down after the first year. took 4 tons of lumber, built a stage, and screwed it in because it was going to come down at the end of the year. But then we said, but we'd like to try to do it again, so can we keep the stage up? And 10 years, the stage is still up, and it's falling apart. So finally, we took it down, and with the help of Rennie Cantine, who's going to be doing a concert there for the Historical Society in the beginning of July, he built that stage with some helpers, and we got trucks. And so it's up there for a long time, and that was, 25 years ago. almost.
May I say, if to our listening audience or viewing audience, that if you haven't been there, or you're in for a real treat,
Yeah.
because it's so Shakespearean, it's so like the Globe Theater in many ways, and it works for us, and it's an unbreakable set. It works for everything, and it's just a thrilling situation to be out there in the summertime on a beautiful day watching Shakespeare.
Sal Tagliarino, who is a set designer and stage designer, designed the set twice. When the first time, and then he manipulated it a little bit and changed, and then we built it again the second time. But this time we built it with nails, we didn't screw it in. So
So yeah, it's not. So you can't unscrew it. You got to really demolish it
It's-
if you got to do something. But I've worked with Ellie, a few times, and with David a few times, and
30
always
years
had a great
ago.
time. 30 years ago, when they came up to Woodstock, and we did a production of Andre Gregory's Alice in Wonderland, and it certainly doesn't seem like 30 some odd years ago, but it was.
time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
But
this is a tradition in Woodstock.
Now it is,
Yeah.
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 So you did it. This is wonderful.
I know, we just wanted to do theater. We were up in Birdcliff for 5 years. There you go, Bird on
Or
Cliff.
on a cliff.
So therefore, when we did this outdoors thing, we really liked it. And, it does rain, it does thunder, it does hail. That's why we do it for 6 weeks, because we figured one day it's going to be nice.
Out of the 6. One day
Weeks.
out of the 6 weeks.
Maybe 2.
Although the
There
last
is-
2 years we did every performance.
Well, some summers are good, and I'll never forget, one year was just the worst, when we did The Mad Woman of Chaillot, and I think the gods were mad at us because we didn't do Shakespeare. So that's why.
That's very possible.
It's
Yeah, a couple of years ago with Pericles, I think we had to halt in the middle of the play at one
Right.
point.
Oh, well, there was the one show where we got through the first scene, and then like the hurricane force winds came, and like everyone had to scatter and grab stuff so that tents weren't flying away. And
one time we were doing The Tempest, and somebody from the New York Times was actually there recording the sounds, and we said, that's our background music.
That's true. That's true.
Oh my goodness. Well, how do you sell your tickets? How do people?
We don't have tickets. It is free, and people come as they want. We do pass out the baskets because we do pay our actors. So that's how we do it. People give what they want or what they can.
As Shakespeare said, see the players well disposed. The players are happy. Everything works out well.
So, do people ever make donations? To
All
you?
the time.
All the time.
Oh, yes, they're very, very generous.
yes.
Very generous, and they've gotten more generous through the years.
Do you have a mailing during the year? I'm just trying to.
Oh,
think.
yes.
You have.
Would you
mail.
like to be on the list?
Actually, I would love to be on the list.
Okay.
I have not been on your list because if I had been on your list, I think I would have been bugging you guys before now.
Oops.
Why
Okay.
don't you give us the website address? Is there a website?
There is a
Bird
website.
on a Cliff at hbc.rr.org.
Yes.
Are there
You can
2
Google
F's
it.
in Birdcliff? Can
Yes.
I? Oh, there's the woods. Okay, Bird on a Cliff's a little.
You can.
Do
yeah,
you sell
just
the
Google it.
T-shirts?
You
Yes,
betcha.
we do. Yep.
On the website, too.
Very.
I,
We also
um,
sell, we sell posters of years past. We made a calendar once of posters because 15
So
years.
if you sell, do you sell the posters there?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
It depends.
Yeah.
If we have them, we
Yeah.
sell them.
Because I have found out that the posters are collector's items for a lot
Yes.
of people in
Yes.
this area. And that may not be known to our new residents, but,
Right.
you know, it will be.
You know, speaking of new residents, I am amazed at the new faces that are showing up to the festival. And it's you know, the same people come that have come, but there's more. And they're new and they're great. And we're,
Yeah.
you know, it's kind of neat to see.
I think it's wonderful. We have all of this new energy that has come to our community. And we have special things to give to our community. And the festival is one such thing. We just have to get the word out.
Oh, we got the word out. The word
We
is
do. We
Is
do.
it full? Is it
well, the field will never be full.
Yeah.
If it,
it's a
It's
big-
a
it's
very
huge.
It's a half an
It's a
acre
big
at
field.
least.
it's a very
Yes.
big field. That's why I don't have to worry
Right.
about.
Is it an acre or 3/4 of an acre?
There's a lot of acres up there.
Yeah.
Yes.
We could even go into the field behind if
Yeah.
we want to.
And as you come into town, as you pass the center of town, there's a huge banner up over where the hardware store is, and it's up
Over
there
by
every
House
year.
or
With an arrow,
Yeah.
not housed.
No, the other
looks like
one.
right, and the arrow, you know, like turn here.
Yeah,
and
for
you'll
the
be there.
festival.
But House does put our poster in the window. We have a little special area
Oh,
that
yeah,
they
that's
give us
right.
in the summer.
That's right. That's
The
right.
stores are very cooperative.
What about, well, this community does support its arts.
We try.
Yes, we
Well,
really
it's the
do.
colony of the arts.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
It's-
well,
that
but
says it.
you can be the colony of the arts and still not get all that much support, and I think we get a lot of support here. How does a young or middle-aged, or how does an actor who is interested in joining, how do they do that?
Well, we advertise too when we're having auditions. We keep it posted on our website. And people that are interested sometimes send us their pictures and resumes during the winter and think about us, and we'll contact them depending on the type of actor we'll need. So that's one way. And then there's word of mouth. We get
On at least one occasion, this year, we saw an actress at a reading, and it was like I was sitting next to Ellie, and we went,
yes, yes.
Well, the way I found out was someone had said, "Oh, we saw Shakespeare in a field," and I had stepped away from acting for quite a while, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? I think I'm ready to get into it." So I Googled Shakespeare in a field, Woodstock, and I found Bird on the Cliff's website. And then I just stalked the website until there was an audition.
That was your first mistake. He comes from Wyndham. People travel
Yeah.
from.
Oh yeah, so it's
That's how we get in. So Ellie and David have been very active in theater as long as I've been here, so that's at least 30 years. For me, I worked in television and retired, and picked it up again with Ellie. Ellie and I, we ran into each other at a Memorial Day party, I remember, and Ellie said, "Where have you been all
Right,
these years?
that's right.
Come." And so I joined to do Pericles
Right.
3 seasons ago.
Right.
And had a great time, and we've been.
That was our last real show.
yeah, that was our last
This
Shakespeare.
this one's going to be interesting because we changed the starting time because when it's hot, it's just too hot at 5. 5:30 it cools down a little. Now Midsummer is a longer show than most, so we're going to actually be going into the night and have lights,
Oh.
and
Yeah.
it'll be kind of
Especially
nice.
as we move towards September, it starts
Right.
to get more crepuscular at the end of the evening. If I could be a little Shakespearean here, but yeah, and Midsummer Night's Dream. I mean, is there anyone who hasn't seen a production at some point? It's might not be, it's one of the most famous plays, but it certainly is one of the most performed plays, and with good reason. It's hilarious. It has something for everybody. There's some romance. There's some intrigue. There's supernatural forces at work in the form of fairies, the king of the fairies, the queen of the fairies, the little attendant fairies, Puck, forever, making a mess of things, whether by design or by accident. And at the end, everything all works out. It's a comedy of errors. It's a wonderful, wonderful play. And if anybody is like afraid of Shakespeare, you needn't be. It's just such a wonderful play to see. This one, actually, all of them are.
We
are
give a
great
big
to see.
synopsis in the program.
Right.
So when the mothers have to explain it to the kids,
That's right.
they've got something to read to them to help them through the play.
Yeah, it's a great thrill for me to be co-directing this. It's something I've always wanted to do. It's the first Shakespeare play I ever read when I was a kid. It was actually in a comic book, a classics comic book.
Where's the comic book one now? We
It
can
would
auction
be
it
worth,
off.
it would
Oh
be
my
worth
God.
thousands. My mother threw it out, like she's got all my
course.
comic books. But yeah, so
It
it's
got stuck in
perfect
between
thrill.
Superman and
Right.
Batman?
Exactly. But, because of Ellie and David, I'm here directing, and that's really a thrill for me. It's a wonderful, it's something I've always wanted to do.
And Hank's a good actor also, so we're going to miss him on the stage. But
May I do a little plug for a play that we're doing a little later on? In
Oh,
the
yes.
auspices of the Bird on a Cliff Theater. We're doing a two-person play, a one-act play, starring Ellie and
Sir David Aston
Sir
Reese.
David Aston Reese. I'll be directing that. It's a play called Bakersfield Mist, and we'll be doing it in October at the community center.
Yes,
At
so
the
far.
community center. It's a wonderful, wonderful one-act play. It's a comedy.
It's very funny if you do it right. If you don't do it right, it's not so funny.
Excuse me. We're going to do it
No, I'm
right.
going to do it right.
Well, that brings to mind, we've had, the last 2 years have been such a challenge.
Well, we postponed this show for 2 years.
I mean, that in itself.
We've been
is-
working on it and postponing it.
I mean, that's a very difficult thing to try to do. So how far ahead are you trying to work now?
Oh,
As far as
One
Midsummer
step at a
Night's
time.
Dream is concerned,
As far as anything is concerned.
Well, we started, the three of us, David and Hank and myself, have been working on Bakersfield together, and we've been okay. It's the three of us, and then we have Ahmed, who's stage manager. So the four of us are safe, and as far as Midsummer, we started casting it in March, and we've been working on that, and
Yeah.
we usually have a 6-week rehearsal period, and that's how it works. We start the first reading with the cast on June 1st.
now, of course, a lot of the cast is, they're not just acting, they've got jobs. If they're not flipping burgers, they're heading up corporations and doing stuff like that. Wait, a mental health expert came in today to play one of the leading roles.
Yeah,
I had to
and
play
we-
Sander. He came in today, and worn out from a week's work. But
He's going to be worn out in backstage with the
let me tell
cast.
you, let me tell you. But we work around everybody's schedule because, of course, up until the very last weeks before we go on, of course, we have to do full run-throughs. But until that time, we split it up. If Bill has a dental appointment and can't make it that certain
He's
day,
not allowed.
then we work around it. We do, whatever we can to accommodate everybody. And you know what? It's a mystery, but it always comes together.
Somehow people get nervous and they say, "We'll be there."
Yeah, but that's theater in general. It's a mystery.
Oh, yeah.
But it all comes together.
Yes.
So at what point do you start working with the future?
Well, we'll be working with the future the minute we open up this play, because the future is shorter. It's going to be right behind this play in October. We don't usually do a play after the summer.
Yeah.
David and I collapse and we chill. But in this case, we'll be doing this play. We also do comedy, murder, mystery shows that
Those are
we
a lot
used
of
to
fun.
do before COVID hit, and we used to do them at New World, and we traveled around the Hudson Valley with them. And we might be popping that up again once it's COVIDly safe and possible to do that.
That COVIDly safe.
COVIDly, that's what I've
It's a
been,
new one.
yes, COVIDly possible.
You know, that's the thing. We're all kind of marching into the future, but there's all this, you know, the big C over
Uh-huh.
here. And so you got to make up for the 2 years that you lost.
Yeah. Well, we didn't really lose.
We didn't.
2
We
years.
were the outdoor theater. We
yeah,
won.
we were we were
Come
the
on.
only game in town for the
Right.
first
Right.
year.
Yes.
Especially, and people showed up, and
Oh, yeah.
like we're so grateful, you know, because people were just so starved for something. You know, and they were just, even on the so-so nights, they're like, thank you so much. And
Yes.
just like, so it was really great. It was good because the first year it was a 3-man show and we all had like 15 characters each. And I mean, some of it was like, ba ba ba, off stage, back on, ba 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 ba, in a different character. And
Changing costumes.
yes, it was insanity. And
funny though.
but it was a great learning experience. It showed me as an actor what I'm capable of, you know, because I never, if you had put that in front of me and said, this is what you're going to do, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. But, you know, so it was a great learning experience for me and for the other cast members. And so when we came back to do the 3-man show again the next year, last year, we already knew each other, so it made the whole thing so much easier. And we had quite a few less characters to play the second year. So
And it was a joy. It was so easy to schedule 3 people all
Yeah.
the time.
There was
Whereas
no-
this, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
this, we can have these people then, and then these characters in this scene then. It's not easy.
yeah, it's a little crazy, but
Yeah.
it always works out. It always works out.
Absolutely.
Yes, I mean, once you get through, what are your conflicts? We have lists, every actor gives us their conflicts, and then we have to make it work.
Right. Exactly.
What this particular group, you guys as a group, have been very successful for many years. Why?
I don't know. Go ahead, go for it.
Ellie,
Yes.
who's a powerhouse, a little lightning bolt. Nothing stands in her way. She knows what she wants and she goes for it. She was probably, you're an only child?
Yes.
There you go. An only child, spoiled, got whatever she wanted, and she still gets it.
There's a
And
word I
it's-
just quite don't get. It's called no.
So Ellie, you know, if anybody's going to do something, get an
Yeah.
idea and do something, it's Ellie. Then the other half, Ellie's husband David, is quite the opposite. He's quiet, he's determined, he's professional, and he basically becomes the commander. We've got a demander and a commander. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
A demander and a commander, and it all comes together. It's the two of them, and there's no stopping them. And whatever they do,
David's
there's
calm,
theater, but
yeah.
there's other stuff.
I get these crazy ideas, and then David calmly works it out on paper and figures out how we can do it. Then I get these other crazy ideas, and sometimes he says no, and I went, what? How do you spell that?
Yeah.
Well, but still have not the last 2 years changed how you work.
No. We
Really?
did our shows, we got together, rehearsed, did our shows, had everybody up. The only thing it did, I had to mark 10-foot spots on the lawn with
Okay.
little orange,
Yeah.
with little
Okay.
orange flags. So that was,
For people, yeah.
you know, so people stayed away.
Socially
Right.
distancing.
And we asked that they walk in with masks. One woman didn't want to do that and said, I can't wear a mask. I said, all 3 of you can? And it's a health thing. I said, you can't go in, period. I'm not going to endanger the rest of the people who are following the rules because you don't
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah, you can choose not to wear a mask, but
This year will
You can
probably
choose.
be a little different and not so stringent. I don't think so, depending on where we're at the end of July with COVID.
Right.
We don't
So
know.
it's hard to, this is this is not July yet.
It's not gonna be as bad as the first year where no one had a shot.
Yeah.
Right.
People have had
That's right.
shots, people feel a little better, and
Yeah, there was a lot of trust in the first year. We all had to trust that each other was going to do the right thing,
Right.
Yeah.
and we didn't all necessarily know each other that well. So it was like, you know, it was a big leap of faith for
yeah,
all of us involved.
we had those helmets, the plastic helmets, I would bring
Yeah, the shields.
masks to rehearsal, the shields.
Yeah,
You know, you can't think in terms of what might happen
Yeah.
negatively. That's, you know, it's basically what you're doing right now, at the moment. Right now, we're rehearsing. We have a play to do. That's in the future. It's going to happen. All kinds of things could take place,
Yep.
you know, between now and then. And you can't think of it.
Yeah.
COVID, of course, is uppermost in our minds at this point. What would happen? What would happen? That's not what it is. We're doing a play. We're rehearsing the play right now.
And it's
Putting it
outdoors.
together, and it's
Yes.
all going to come
The
together.
secret is outdoors.
Outdoors.
Yes.
As many times as I wished we could be indoors all these years when it would rain or snow or whatever, I said, that was the secret, outdoors.
Yes.
Yes. And so we're just pressing on,
Yep.
going to press on.
We did, I don't
What
know,
else?
what else can you do?
What else can you do? You got to press on.
And
Well-
no matter how you plan it out, whatever roadblock you hit is something that was never foreseen. So it's just, you got to think on your feet and just keep moving. So,
Yeah.
and David and Ellie are very good at that.
That's wonderful.
Both David and I have different approaches to the actors, though,
Yes,
that's for
but,
sure.
Yeah. But I'm here
And
6
I have a
years
third
later,
approach.
so
Yeah,
And I have a third approach.
Right,
Just
right.
like-
well, how we treat our people and stuff like
yeah,
that.
I have never worked with people in a theater who run a theater company that is so loving and caring as David and Ellie, because, you know, that's why I'm back here for the 6th year in a row. You know, it's
Just don't get a 7-year itch next year there. Boy.
But no, it's just from and like I said, when I hadn't stepped foot on the stage in 17 years, and so they took a big leap of faith.
We didn't know
casting
that
me.
at the time.
And
Oh, so no leap of faith.
so it was
No
like,
leap of
but I
faith.
felt from the moment I showed up to the first rehearsal, I felt very safe and okay, you know, I'll be able to do this again.
You know
So-
what it's like? I always said, you know, after college that it was never as much fun as it was in college. You know, the camaraderie had nothing to do with money. It was the camaraderie and the play and the way it all worked together. And you know, this is what this is like. It's like a bunch of people getting together, and then at the end, we have a big cast party. We
That's
have a big
right,
rep
we
party.
do, at my friend's
And that's
house with a swimming pool and
Yes.
everything. Beautiful garden, too.
Yes.
In October.
No, we're
September.
done Labor Day.
Labor
Sunday
Day.
of Labor Day
That's-
weekend, we're done.
yeah.
Oh, you're
It's our
done on
last
Labor
show.
Day.
Right, the next show is sort of after season,
Yeah, the October show is
the October show.
It's the October show.
So you traditionally do 2 shows a year?
No, we
is
do
unusual.
one. Doing the show indoors is different.
Right.
You sometimes do 2 shows in the summer. So we'll start earlier in July and then have the show run 4 or 5 weeks and then have another show for 4 or 5 weeks.
Well, here's the thing about Bakersfield Mist, the show in October. We have been, because of COVID,
Right.
we started rehearsing pre-COVID in
Right.
2019.
We had our first
reading
at
in
James
January of
Cossett's
2020,
gallery.
just before.
That's right,
COVID.
just before it hit.
And we've been rehearsing ever since, and for one reason or another, postponing, and this isn't good, and this isn't so good.
COVID.
So, no, we don't usually do 2 shows in a year, at least not so close, but we gotta do
But
it.
this one,
Yeah.
in summers past, we have. We've
Oh.
done 2 on the
Yeah.
Como property.
Yeah.
Before you came back.
Oh, that's before
Yes.
I came back.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that doesn't count.
That doesn't-
Well,
That doesn't count.
he wasn't there.
I'm there.
So when do you decide what is happening next season?
When
we
I get-
usually know
when I
by
get
the
the
cast
itch.
party.
Oh, you gotta get the itch.
I gotta get the itch.
We usually know by the cast party at the end of the season.
Well, I
Or
sit
it's
and I
very
listen
tentative.
to what the actors, who I really love, what their desires are, and then I look and see, well, if we haven't done it within 10 years, we can do it again.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's repeats.
repeats.
Yeah.
Because there's just some shows that are not right to do outdoors, family-wise, summer-wise. At least not for us in the daylight. So we keep it a little on the light side, although we definitely want to do the Scottish play again. We're aiming in that direction perhaps soon.
Right. Scottish play. Have you ever done Hamlet?
Yes, all 4 hours of them.
Good.
That went into the night. That was the last time we used the lights into the night.
Okay. I wasn't there for Hamlet.
No.
Yes, it's always fun Labor Day weekend. You're like rushing to beat the sunsets.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have to because we have the lights.
Yeah, well now we have lights. This is the first time I've.
David ordered the lights. We got them.
Yeah. We have to do. In fact, we've in a couple of weeks we're going to go out when the in the dusk, probably around 10 o'clock, with those lights.
That's
just to
past
test
my
them.
bedtime. You're going.
I'm going. I'll go with David. David
Yes.
yeah, we have
Good
to
luck
test
on
the
that
lights
one.
and see how they're going to work out because we don't know.
I know.
She knows.
Well, does anybody else need to know?
No.
So that's okay.
It's
I'm
actually
in
very
favor.
pretty. It's actually very pretty when that happens because we plug their floodlights and we plug them in during intermission when it's still nice and bright. And as it gets dark, the lights don't come on. They blend.
The wonderful thing about doing Midsummer Night's Dream in the summer, in the midsummer,
Right.
outside, is the fireflies. Because they add that fairy-like thing to the whole atmosphere. Little lights
Yeah, and
twinkling.
then, you get the occasional deer that goes onto
Do you
the
think
lawn.
it's true?
Or,
It's true.
know,
Yeah, that
groundhog
we have
and stuff.
this one deer comes and watches rehearsals
Yeah.
Right.
at the same time every night. It's very
Yeah.
funny.
Likes the rehearsals. Have you ever had anybody like people just walking through the woods who just walk on stage accidentally during the
Not when
performance?
I'm there. They
Yeah. Well, they come because there's the path sort of splits
Yeah.
backstage.
But they fixed it.
And so they get lost and they see all the actors like, oh, and then they run away.
Right, they do that, but also they fix the pads that they don't come
It's close
into our
to the
dressing room in
backstage,
the back or anything.
Yeah, because sometimes they'll get an eyeful when you're like furiously throwing your clothes off to put on your next costume and
Well,
stuff. Yeah.
you know.
It's all part. Well, I mean, as an actor, you're used to it, but as a person who is not in the theater, it's like, oh my God, the person's naked.
So
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
well, it's
It's
Woodstock.
Woodstock.
Yes,
Right.
it is.
Woodstock.
Oh, I could tell a story. I don't know if I should though. But when we did Midsummer, I think the first year, it was pouring rain, and some of the actors wanted to rehearse. So they took their clothes off to rehearse. And up came a busload of Bruderhoffers while they're rehearsing. And I said, this is the stuff that dreams are made out of.
A Bruderhofer
Yeah.
coming into Woodstock has to expect that.
Exactly. I said, well, this is
Yes.
it. But,
But,
they were having
uh,
fun. They were just kidding around, but it's Woodstock.
and they were off of their turf.
The Bruderhoffers?
Yeah.
They were in a bus.
Yeah, they
I
were-
think the
Yes.
bus quickly turned around,
These
and went
things
away.
happen.
and I didn't see them for a couple of years after that.
They have come back.
But
though.
they come. They
have
come.
come back.
It's very nice. We have a very diverse audience,
all
which
sorts
is
of
really
people
nice.
come. Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
great.
Kids, they bring the kids.
Oh yeah, sometimes kids and
Dogs.
dogs. If it's not too hot, we love when the dogs come.
Right.
Dogs. A cultured dog is a good dog.
A dog who likes Shakespeare.
You always know you're doing a good job when the kids are sitting there.
That's right. That's right.
And they're sitting there and they're watching and they're listening. They may not know exactly what's going on, but they're enthralled, and that's how I always know I'm doing my job.
This true.
Well, sometimes I think it doesn't really matter that they know.
Yeah.
What matters is that they're paying attention.
Well, what's good is that
True.
each year that they come back, they'll watch a little more and a little more. And then they're on the stage because I've hired them because they know about Shakespeare.
You know, it's interesting. 3 seasons ago, 2 years now, we did Pericles, Prince of Tyre. not one of the better known plays. Not the kind of play that you do that people are going to go, whoa,
Yeah.
Pericles, we got to go see this. You know, it's like
Oh,
throwing us
yeah.
some precedent. It's usually not done. But it was extremely successful. It got great reviews. Everyone I spoke to really enjoyed it, loved it. All my friends who came, and it was just the part of that is the camaraderie, but somehow just the atmosphere of being there puts it all together. So Pericles worked.
It worked.
I had my doubts.
Christopher Martin, who actually started the classical stage company in New York City, CSC.
Which I worked with him at in
Right.
1970.
And David worked with him. He brought us up to the Birdcliff Barn doing his rock opera of Quasimodo 30 years ago, which is how we got here. Problem is, I didn't want to go home, so I was here, and I didn't. And we have been lucky because we got Chris back to direct. It was Romeo and Juliet, and then he directed Pericles, and hopefully we'll get him back to direct something else in the not too distant future.
And he did a wonderful job editing Pericles, because when I first read it, I was like, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
I'm in
you
the
can't
most
do-
boring
right.
play that was ever written.
You can't, you can't do
But
that.
he did an excellent job in editing it, and without losing the integrity of the play and the work, and it was like,
And
it was
also-
one of my prouder
It
productions.
was his
to
music
be-
too.
Yes.
And
yeah.
he conducted,
Yeah.
did the music. He's very, very talented man.
Yeah.
As I say, when you think about it, I worked with him 52 years ago in New York. I'm retired.
There's no such thing as
I
retiring.
don't
It's so
look-
dangerous.
Not in this
That's
business.
a terrible thing.
Gosh.
Yeah,
No.
97 years old.
That's
I
right.
don't look
It's going to keep you
But-
going.
Yeah, but worked with him then, and it was really great to suddenly be there again. At that time, it was 49 years later.
Right.
And he remembered me. I remember we did Moby Dick in New York. It was quite an experience to work with him again
He's
after a half a century.
fabulous. I mean, he did an uncut version of Peer Gynt for 2 nights. And my husband he had 4 guys doing Peer Gynt, different stages of Peer Gynt's life. And my husband was one of them. And I just sat there watching it, and I went, oh, it was great. And that's when I knew I wanted to work with Chris.
How do people approach you if they want to work with you?
They say, hi, my name is. and I say, oh, well, here's my card if you'd like to contact us, or do you have a picture and resume? And we keep it on file, and when we audition, we call up. We're not unapproachable. We're easy.
And how do people approach you if they want to do other things besides acting?
They ask, and I say, okay.
Same
and-
way.
Yeah.
With
And
Ellie, they usually say, "Can you cook dinner for us?" She's one of the best cooks I know.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So not only do you have to do all the work, but then you got to cook dinner too.
let's put it this way. The true way to an actor's heart is through their stomach. And I learned that a long time ago. And I've kept in it and feed them good.
Well, and they're also very giving, because like my first production was Merchant of Venice, and like 2 weeks into rehearsal, I wound up having a foster child, and I was
Oh,
like,
Jose.
yes, and he was sitting in the back, and Dave and Nellie like, do you think maybe he'd want to help out? And so he wound up becoming the assistant stage manager of the production, which was like, yeah, we had a great time, and it was a great bonding experience for us, because so he was able to see exactly what I was going through, and then learned responsibility and stuff, and it was all because
He
of
was
David's-
great.
Ellie and David's, kindness and openness to help people. So
Well, you can't just let somebody sit there,
yeah, he would have been
Yes,
so.
I
bored
love that
out as well.
attitude.
Yeah.
They don't want to be sitting there either.
Right. So you give it. So everybody that comes around gets a job.
Oh,
If
sure.
they want one, and
You stick around long enough, you're gonna get.
oh yeah,
get a
you
job.
stick around long enough, you get yanked into the vortex.
How about the building of the set? Now that you have this permanent set, you said Rennie Cantine did that?
Yes. Yes.
Did he just volunteer? How did that go? How did that work?
Well, he gave an estimate. We hired him. You know, and he was really great and generous with a lot of extra stuff that he did. In fact, he is coming back to tweak a few things before his concert, and you know, he's the man in charge. And we've got a nice plaque he dedicated to his dad, and we have that in the back of the stage. Because we have the stage is dedicated to our friend Bill Hickey, who we all know from years ago as teacher, friend, and mentor. And so,
Yeah.
Have you ever seen an opportunity to teach theater to people?
my husband actually taught at East Carolina University for a semester or two. We basically just, there's so much we do during the day that in order to do that properly, there's a woman, Leslie Sawkill, who does that, and she does it very well with her Genesis theater company, and she's been teaching the kids and stuff growing up with her and doing Shakespeare out in Shandaken.
There is no production that is not a learning situation.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because there is a director who is the mentor and leading things, and it's like the art of acting is the kind of art that you practice.
Yeah.
So you're practicing your art when you're on stage, honing it throughout. You go to class, you do all your scene work, you do your study work, you do your exercises, and it does not end there as far as the learning situation is concerned. It's actually being on stage and working, and then going on to the next play, having completed that lesson.
The thing is, you get the lessons, what it's really like to perform when you're performing.
That's right.
You can sit in an acting school for years and
Yes.
years, and if you don't get your butt out on that stage and start experiencing it, you don't
Yep.
know what it's about.
And it is terrifying in the best possible
Yeah.
way.
Yes.
It's terrifying for everybody, but for an actor to be waiting for the curtain to go up, waiting for a cue to go on for the first time, especially the first night. It's a tremendous act of bravery. Acting is a tremendous act of bravery, tremendous act of honesty, a tremendous act of generosity, because you're working with other people and you're using your own talent to elevate the other talent.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all for naught. So that's part of the terrifying thing. But once you do set out on stage, that wonderful terror before the
Oh.
curtain goes up,
Yes.
when you do go out on stage, that all melts away, and it just
Yeah.
Then you have fun.
Yes.
takes
As
it
long
on.
as you know your lines,
you
you
gotta
can
do
have
it.
fun.
Yeah.
But it is a glorious ensemble because of, as I said, the generosity, the honesty, the truth behind it.
If-
And using your own, it's one of the only arts. If you're going to be a dancer, ballet dancer, a modern dancer, whatever, you have to learn how to do everything. If you're a singer, you really have to learn to really control that. An instrumentalist. Acting is one of the few things that you can do practically out of the womb. That's why you have child actors. You get people on there who can actually do it because it's living.
You have child actors because you have parents that make them do it.
Well, that's true too. That's true too.
What
But we do
child
have
actor do you
talent. But you do have talent
Right.
that you see. You see, it's the kind of. But you can't get a kid and hand him a violin and say,
Yeah.
"Okay, sit there in
Yeah.
the violin section of the
Your concert
philharmonic
starts tomorrow.
and play."
This-
You
the
can't do
concert.
that. It's because we use the instrument that we are born with. It's our bodies, it's our minds, it's our voices, and it's our personalities. And you know, and so at the risk of sounding ridiculous, it's a true exercise of love, and that's what makes theater so beautiful.
Craziness.
Yeah.
The craziness.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's always it's not always just acting. Like when we did Romeo and Juliet, Chris Martin directed, but then David became the fight master.
Well,
Because a lot of the
that's what he
actors,
did.
a lot of the actors had never worked with swords or épées or whatever we were using.
Yeah.
But you know, so it's like not only do you need to know your lines and know where you need to do, now you have to fight with a sword with someone
And not kill anybody
yeah,
by
and
accident.
not take an eye
Not-
out. So it was.
Not abrade anybody.
It's yeah. So you
Oh,
never.
sure.
It's never just like one thing. Especially when you work in a community theater like this, you know, it's just like we're all there to support each other in the best way we can, you know, and that's what makes it work. You know.
That's what I'm talking about with generosity.
Yeah. Yep.
What about the costumes?
Oh,
We have a wonderful lady
Yes.
named Bethany Goldpaw Brown that's been doing our costumes for 23 or 4 years. And she bought a house a few years ago with lots of rooms, which is good because they're all there. And she also helps other theaters, and we're happy, you know.
So she is the key. She is the designer of the costumes.
She's the
and
coordinator,
and she
basically.
is the maker of the costumes, and she is the keeper of the costumes.
She's the KKK.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh,
Keeper, coordinator. Anyway, she's great.
KCK.
And she's got patience, and she's also in some of the shows we
Yes.
have had. We can't do a show without Bethany.
she's
Yes.
in. She's in.
She's
this year?
in Midsummer, yes.
Yeah.
And then we have a makeup lady, and Maxine Rosiola, who has been doing makeup since 20-something years. And we can't do shows without them. We won't.
Yeah.
We refuse.
And then there's who else? There's who's doing sound? Ralph, Mike Ralph.
Right.
But for years you had Miles Kudelka, right?
No, Miles only stepped in for a couple of years,
Oh,
but
okay.
before that it was Marielle, Maxine's
Oh,
daughter,
yeah. All right.
and Jesse. We had my friend's kids who would be doing the
Ah,
sounds. Marielle, she was a spirit under the table in the Tempest. This is how, and Maxine, her mom, called us and said, "We come all the way from High Falls. Does she have to be under the table?" And I looked at David and I went, "Oh my!" And so that was then, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Now getting back to
We got
sound,
her out from under the table. By the way.
Getting back to sound's very important because first of all we're amplified. We wear little microphones.
Body mics.
And it's all wireless, and that gets all mixed and controlled from a tent nearby. And that person also does the music cues, the sound effect cues, and so forth. A very important aspect. You know, with thunder, you got thunder. You have little music, little mood music. If you need rain, you need soldiers
So
marching.
what you're saying is you have your own geek crew.
Yeah.
Not a crew, one or two.
One or two.
One or two.
Yeah.
Well, that's the crew.
Couple,
Yes.
a geek couple.
A geek couple.
That's the other thing. Theater is just, is just the breeding ground for geeks.
Whoever's not standing still. Get over here.
Set design, set the stage hands, fly crew, lighting.
We are on the bandwagon to get new body mics. We need them. We need them. We need them bad.
Yeah, they're a little intermittent.
Okay, if you need them, can we talk for a minute about what you do need?
Unfortunately, I don't have the specifics. That would have been good for my husband too. But just tap onto Bird on a Cliff and you will see the letter.
Right. But
Okay.
one very important thing is a good, what we call RF, radio frequency wireless microphone system that isn't subject to the vagaries of the atmosphere or whatever. Doesn't cut out every once in a while.
Have you gone shopping for them at all?
David's been making the wish list.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
So you have the intention already.
Oh yes, we have it out there, and we've started collecting. We've bought a few, but we need to go further, and everybody needs to have that mic and a board that again has current frequencies on it. We had a board that wasn't getting the right frequency.
Mixing board.
Yes.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
You have it, you've got it here, so.
I am so ill-equipped for that part of the room, but I have introduced a couple of my colleagues and friends to that part of the room, and they are naturals at it.
Some
So
people just fall right into
yeah,
place.
they are just, and I'm not there at all. What about the set dressing?
It's like Shakespeare, it's very little.
Yeah, it's a
Very
It might be a
little.
prop, might be a prop, yeah, because a pillar, a post can be a tree.
Right,
The balcony can be a ship.
right.
Anything, and it's a raked stage, just like in Shakespeare's. That is, that it goes actually from upstage to downstage. The very end of it is like a slant.
And then you just jump off when you want to.
And jump off when you have to, but all that stuff, really makes for imagination.
Yeah, and there's the props are more.
Minimalistic with Shakespeare.
But they take over for the set, and
That's right.
and as an actor, our job is to get the audience to feel where we are, not just like, oh, we're here. It's just like, well, what's it like on this beach, or
So
what's
they
it like
join
storming
you.
this castle?
They join you.
Yeah.
They
Well,
they
that's
work on you.
that's the suspension of disbelief
Yeah.
that an audience needs to do. And then there's what they call breaking the fourth wall.
I love
There's
that.
a lot of that in Shakespeare, and it happens in Puck has marvelous the epilogue of
You'll go walking into the audience and
Yeah.
not just to
the
collect.
epilogue, the final words in the play is Puck, and it's a very famous epilogue, and it's basically asking the audience it says, we realize this was just a trifle, but we don't want you to hiss at us. He says, now to escape the serpent's tongue, meaning the audience won't go,
Yeah.
Did you get up to that part
he
yet?
says, give me your hands if we be friends. And Puck's actual name is Robin Goodfellas.
No, huh?
Silence is golden.
We just gave the scripts out, and
Yeah.
I'm not
So
saying.
he's asking for applause,
Yeah.
and it's a great thing. And of course, it goes from a palace into the woods. It's from the palace to the woods, and we're in the woods, and we're lost in the woods, and the fairies are floating around in the woods, and all kinds of things, and strange things happen. Here is the beginnings of there is one character who at some point gets the head of an ass, and this is what I'm starting out with. I'm just building
Right.
it from this
Now,
thing
when
here
we've
to
just-
be seen.
You're just constructing it now.
Good.
Well,
just getting
it's
it.
going to stay Nettie. Now, we've had
Yeah.
done this show before, and the poor guy who was playing Bonham had a furry
hot.
thing, and when it's 90 degrees, even
That's
85,
hard.
it's hard.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we came up with this idea, and it's wonderful.
This is actually a real horsefly mask. This is what you put on horses, and I'm fixing it up here a little bit, and I'm going to shorten this a bit. But this is just a preview of one of the
Things to
costumes.
come.
Bring your imagination.
You taking Bethany's job away?
Bethany is the person who's going to be. I've talked to Bethany about this already.
Good.
She loved the idea. She's
Yeah.
going to
Oh,
be
yeah.
fitting it to Lawrence's head.
Oh, good.
The fellow who plays Nick Bottom, one of the what we call the mechanicals, the rude mechanicals. He's a tradesman in town, asked to perform in a play within the play. There's a play within the play, another Shakespearean conceit.
So, have you begun on the future yet?
I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Have I begun?
Have you begun
on-
to conceptualize next year?
Next year. We want to do this year first.
You want to do this year
Having enough
first.
trouble
Right.
conceptualizing.
Yeah.
this
So you
year.
really are working in the now.
Yes.
Yeah.
As Stanislavski would say,
Opening night is our future.
Yeah.
That is your, oh, that's so wonderful.
I'm going to put that on the T-shirt
Thank
this
you.
year.
Thank you.
Do you sell T-shirts?
Yes.
We do.
Look.
Yeah.
Do you have them at
You betcha.
Yes, they're at
and
the.
how many T-shirts? What different kinds of T-shirts do you
Well,
have?
sometimes we get ones that are on the current production if we like the poster enough, and then we always have these, which
Oh, this is your basic,
they
Yeah, this
are
is the
the
basic.
basic black
And it
pearls.
doesn't get dirty.
Yeah.
And it
because
doesn't
it's-
get dirty because it's black.
It doesn't
And
show.
so the
dirt.
audience can go home with one
Oh
of
yes,
these.
oh,
Yes.
yes, they do.
Yeah,
They make wonderful Christmas gifts because I've given them to plenty of people.
yeah.
He's-
Yes, T-shirts do work year-round.
Yes.
Especially when it says Woodstock and Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And Bird on a Cliff.
Oh, yes, and not
Yes, and Bird on
forget
the Cliff.
the little birdie.
Bird on a Cliff.
Do you have a Bird on the Cliff T-shirt?
We had one with a different kind of logo. And then we had one that was just black like this that said Bird on a Cliff. But, you know, there's just so much you can set up every time, you know, and you don't,
Lug around, store.
less is better.
Actually, there is just so much you can set up. But don't you find, or do you find, that there are some people who enjoy the setup?
No. I haven't met that person yet. And if
Really?
you find someone that likes
Wait.
to set up, send them to me.
Okay.
There's two aspects to it. There's the setup and the strike.
Yeah.
Both those things are not, you know.
Tell me
beloved by
about the
anybody.
strike.
The strike is just taking everything down that you've set up previously.
Right.
No, I mean, the
And putting it
broader
away,
term-
we can't leave things
Yeah.
up.
Right.
No.
Just the
Yeah.
we leave the tents up Friday through Sunday, and then they come down on Sunday, because
Yeah.
But
And then
every
they go back.
yeah.
they go back
After every
into the
performance,
tent holder.
the speakers need to come, go back,
Yeah.
get loaded back
Every
into
night.
the van. All
Every
the
night.
props, all the costumes need to go to various vehicles to go where they need to go. So it's, and that's again, it's when everyone pitches in and helps out.
And you do not have people who enjoy doing that.
No, everybody, no, we do,
Well-
but they don't come. There's no volunteers coming out from the woodworks and saying, we want to help.
Here's my resume.
Yeah, right.
Here's my resume.
We say, Camp Ellie Michaels, you lose 5 pounds every other week.
Yeah.
So it's a good way.
Oh, wow. So how many days until you take off this year?
31, wait a minute, 30 days after September, April, 31 and 11. So we have now -2 because of the weekend. So it's 40 days.
Okay.
40 days.
40 days,
40
40
days and
nights.
40 nights.
Wow.
Woo!
Listen, listen, Ellen just gave us the 5-minute
Uh-oh,
sign.
and then we get
So
the hook.
what is our final message? Can each of, you have 5 minutes to say it all
Go
right
ahead,
here.
Hank.
Come this year, bring the family, bring the dogs, bring the kids. You will not regret it. It's a wonderful cast. It's a wonderful play. It can't go wrong. You will, you know, if you think you don't like Shakespeare, this will make you love Shakespeare. Please come. It's a glorious evening.
You
Go ahead,
know,
Bill.
I'm going to say something. You have this wonderful production. There's no doubt about it. But just an event where you can bring your children and bring the dog and sit, that in itself,
Exactly.
if you had nothing on the stage at all, that
Yeah.
itself would be worth
Yeah.
it.
And if they don't like it, they can always leave.
Yeah.
And then they could come back. There are people that can only stay for a certain time, and then 2
Yeah.
weeks later they come back.
Yeah.
It's easy.
Yeah.
Right. In fact, the king and queen, the duke and his bride, in this play, actually get a chance to come off the stage and sit down and watch a play within the play going on there. So it's audience upon audience. So
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
not only dogs, kids, parents. It's actors.
I think
too.
you're going to come.
Absolutely.
I could tell.
No, it really is a fun time, and it's an experience that stays with people. I literally, no lie, just earlier in the week, I was at work, and this woman's like, "I just have to tell you what a great time we had last year." And I was like, "Well, the flyers will be ready for
That's right.
this year,
Right.
You know, and like I put them everywhere.
Oh,
you
yes.
know. I walk down the street. Hey, look at this! Is what I'm doing.
He's
This-
the mayor
hey."
of Wyndham. Everybody comes down from
Yeah.
Wyndham. We
Yeah.
have all of Wyndham.
We have, yeah, it's fun. It's
And you put out the flyers everywhere?
oh, I do.
He's
yeah, I'm
relentless.
You know, there is
shameless.
an art to that.
Yeah,
There is really an
Oh,
art.
he's good at it.
yeah, I'm shameless about it.
That's wonderful, because that's a good part of your success.
Oh yeah, word of mouth, definitely.
And I'll say one last word. See you at the show.
Midsummer Night's Dream, Bird on a Cliff Theater, Woodstock Shakespeare Festival. 2022.
Is that the year?
One would think.
Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you, Ellen.
Yay!
Yay!
Thank you, Ellen.
Thank you, Ellen. And it's been wonderful having you.
Oh, it's been
Thank
fun.
you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. The time has